Hi, Pepper Lane community. Good morning. Happy Friday. You've made it this week. I am Brandyn Campbell. I'm doing today's live on all things blogging. I have a crazy morning schedule. I'm an Uber morning person, so I figured I would do this early on, and then it will be here for those of you who keep saner hours to watch at your convenience. Thank you so much for bearing with me during the scheduling challenge yesterday. But that's our lives as mompreneurs. There's always unexpected things, and we just adjust accordingly. So, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to dive right in because, again, I don't expect that many people to join at 6 in the morning, but I did think I'd get a little cozier than usual and get cozy on the couch on a rainy Friday. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandyn Campbell, and I run Brandyn Campbell Communications, which is a company that provides blog and social media content to busy business owners like yourselves. I take that part responsibility off of your plate and provide you with dynamic content that aligns with your business brand and voice so that you can have dynamic content that resonates with your audience, promote your business, and get some engagement and ultimately grow your brand. So that is what I do and why I'm talking to you today about the topic of blogging, which is one of my favorite things in the world. No, I'm not kidding. To tell you, oh, Amy is awake and joining us. Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for joining live. I'm very excited to have some company. To talk a little bit about my background, I've loved writing all of my life, but my career was not focused on writing. I wanted to re-engage with that part of myself, so started a sports blog of all things about 10 years ago. You can still find it. It's called Philly Sports Muse, and it's a blog about the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that many of you are in New England and may not be Eagles fans. So if you see anything there that is a little bit inflammatory, know that I still love you. But I do have that Philly sports fan passion and loved writing about the team. I wrote about them on that blog every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which is unbelievable to me now. I am not proposing that any of you have to do that for your business blog, but it taught me a lot about creating my brand, growing a blog, creating traffic, and leveraging that content for other purposes. Oh, and Amy is so kind. She said she figured if I was going to do this so early that I deserve some company. So I really appreciate it because even my cat has abandoned me at this hour. So Philly Sports Muse is how I got my start or restart with writing. From there, I went on to write for some sports related things, the NFL and the Philadelphia Eagles, but then all around fell in love with writing and wrote a lot of traditional articles for online and print publications. But blogging has always been my love. And when thinking of how to make this business more sustainable, constantly saw people talking about the challenges of blogging and knew I could fill in there. So let us dive right into it and answer the overarching question. Should your business have a blog? Obviously, to me, the answer is yes. We'll talk about the many reasons why, but I think it's an absolute, and I think the confusion. Ooh, Suzanne, hello, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, so happy to have you here, and I hope that you find what we talk about to be helpful. Back to the overarching point of this Ask Me Anything. A business blog, I think the reason there's so much confusion, part of the reason about why it's an essential tool is because there's so much confusion about what a blog is. I think it may be one of the least understood tools of business, certainly of business communications. Part of the confusion is because blogs are ubiquitous. You might think that should mean we all know why we should be doing it, but blogs are all over the place. There are the sports blogs, like I mentioned. There are fashion blogs, there are news blogs. So it can be very confusing thinking about how a blog for your business would fit into that overall scheme. So I want you to think about the blogs that you read. They are probably all over the place. Certainly the ones I like to read on a daily or weekly basis are. But you'll probably find that there are a couple of things in common. Probably you like those blogs and are connected to those because the information is presented to you is information you find interesting. So it's either valuable to you in your personal life or your business, or it engages you, it entertains you in some way. And you probably have the blogs that you like because you like the way the information is conveyed. Blogs tend to be more casual, more personable. So it's a way for people to really put themselves into their writing and their content and to really try to make a connection online. And blogs can really do that successfully. Suzanne says, early risers unite. That is what we're doing. Yeah. So there are some commonalities despite the very different kinds of blogs. And that piece of being able to be personable, be a bit more casual is where there are real opportunities for business owners, because you can be yourself. You can put your humor, you can put your little quirks, whatever spin and uniqueness there is to you and your business, that's your way to do it. It can be a little bit more challenging to do with social media because you have you have character limits, but in your blog, you can really be yourself. So it's a really great tool and opportunity for you as a business owner looking to establish and build your brand. So the key to what I said and everything I say today is that you have to provide content of value. None of the metrics or the tips or anything will make sense if you are not writing what people want to read. And that sounds so obnoxiously simplistic. If we all knew what people wanted to read, that would be more than half the battle, right? But the answer, what is content of value, is going to be as different as your business. Think to your business plan, to your marketing plan, and think about who's your target audience. Think to your customer avatar. What are their interests? What are their challenges? Why are they coming to your business? What help does your product or service give to them? And how can you create content that doesn't promote your business, because no one wants to just read self-promoting content all the time, but what's content that's aligned to what you do, that's related, that will provide valuable information to your audience? So that's a question and an exercise I encourage you all to do if you haven't done it before. If you're thinking about starting a blog, if you're having trouble thinking about what to write about, spend 15 minutes and just think of what are the challenges my customers have in their lives. How can my business, my service, my product help them with that? What are some related pieces of content I could create? So that is the overriding aim and theme to all of this. But to get to some facts about why should you have a blog? Of course, I'm going to sit here and tell you should have one, but there's some really interesting and convincing research that supports why I have that feeling and why I really feel passionate about business owners having blogs as an important tool to help them. And ultimately, that's what I view my role as being, as someone who is part of your team, who is cheering you on, who wants you to have this tool to really make your business a success. So to get to some of those stats, I did not make these up. Most are from HubSpot, which is an organization you may have heard of. They do some amazing research and have some amazing tools for businesses. And they say that 55% of companies that have a blog have 55% more web traffic than those who don't. That alone is pretty impressive, and that alone makes a lot of sense and is part of why I think you should blog. That means when you think of your website, and we all know we have to have a website, we want people to visit the website. But once they come once, what are you giving them beyond that? Beyond explaining your service, your company, who you are perhaps, that's wonderful and lovely, but are you providing any reason for someone to come back? If you don't have a blog, probably not. And a blog gives you that tool. So it's not surprising that companies that have blogs have more traffic because people have reasons and more reasons than just finding out about the company to visit. Another, I find this one to be just stunning. Um, Companies that have blogs have 126% more lead growth. This is actually specific to small businesses than those that don't. We spend so much time thinking about how to our sales funnels, how to get more leads. And here's a tool when used properly. I don't want to oversimplify it and just say, oh, just have one. But just having one is an important step to having that goal. That's huge. And I can't imagine us hearing another way that would give that potentially that much lead growth and just being like, I still don't know. I really think it's because there's just so much confusion about what a blog is. And then the last number I'll throw out at you is from an organization called Blog Her, which is awesome for women bloggers. And their stat is that 81% of Americans trust the information they find on blogs. So this is a tool that inherently has trust built into it. As small business owners, that is our currency. We want and need people to trust us, to buy into who we are, what we offer. So again, there is this simple way right in front of us to do that, to achieve that. So those are my really big reasons on why I think every business needs to have a blog, especially for small businesses. When we think to the social media outage last week, so many funny jokes and memes, but it points to some bigger issues. Hopefully we're all on social media in some form or fashion. You're on Facebook, so hopefully your business has a presence on Facebook somehow, but that's not the end all be all. You have to have something more. You have to have additional tools to market yourself, to talk to people about your brand. So I'm going to dive into questions. There were some amazing questions submitted, and I'm going to address some of those now. I don't know. I want to try to keep this to about 20 minutes. I don't know how much time we'll have. So if I don't get to your question, or you have a question, you're one of the lovely people joining me now, and you have a question I don't get a chance to answer, please feel free to send me a PM. You can leave the question in the comments afterwards, and I promise I will get back to you. So let's start this part of the show. Melissa asked, what's the sweet spot for number of blog posts? That gets into another area I'm passionate about. It's a fabulous question. You can find all kinds of tips online about what's the sweet spot. How much should you be blogging? I truly believe that answer varies for everyone. You should blog as much as you can commit to doing. Consistency in blogging with social media is critical. A lot of people burn out because they get, kind of like New Year's resolutions. Awesome, I'm gonna do this. This is great. I'm gonna crank out a blog a couple times a week. And then they can't sustain that pace, and then they just fade out. That doesn't do anything for you. So my answer is think about what you can commit to, what you know you can commit to. That's the right answer for you. If you say once a month, commit to that. You may find that it takes you less time than you anticipated to create a blog post. Then that's great. You can move it up to 2 times a week, but only bite off what you can chew. So that's my really strong feeling on that. And especially as moms, we are pulled in so many different directions. You really have to do what you have the capacity to do. The next question is a great one. It's from Stephanie, and she asks, is the blog space too crowded? And how long does it take to see a return on your blog investment? So I'll take the last part of that first. I don't mean to be evasive, but there just is no one-size-fits-all answer. So my response to that would be, it depends so much what you put into it, what you see back, and how long it takes. If, like the example I was giving before, you realize, okay, I can commit to once a month, that's fantastic. But it's going to take you longer to see return in terms of web traffic, in terms of engagement, than someone who's able to do a blog 2 times a month or once a week. That's not a knock. That's not saying bite off more than you can chew, but that's just the reality. So it's a very different response, and there's no real answer. But the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And I love the first part of your question: is the blog space too crowded? My response is the business space too crowded for your business? You have it. So I assume that that answer is no. And I strongly believe that the answer is no for your blog. We all have our businesses because we believe there's a unique value proposition. So really tune into that and think of how you can inject that into your blog. Stephanie, I'm familiar with your business, haven't had the pleasure of going, but it is such a fabulous, unique, creative idea. I'm someone who is dying to go to Swap It. Think of how you can inject some of that uniqueness and some of what Swap It offers into content. And I would be happy to brainstorm with you afterwards. Let's see. Amy, you are up with your fantastic question. And Nancy had a very similar question, so I'm going to answer those both at the same time. And the question is, how do you get more traffic and engagement on blog posts? A fantastic question, and that's really one of the big things we all want to know. No one wants to feel like they're doing all this work and it's going into a void. One of the biggest things that you can do and should be doing is promote your blog posts. You can't just write it and then just think this is so awesome. People are just going to find it and it's wonderful. That's not going to happen. You have to promote it on social media channels. And one mistake or one misgiving, better word, business owners have is that they just can tweet it out once or put it on Facebook one time and then that's it. It's not true. I'm not saying that you spam people, but if you are talking about a general concept, there are going to be a lot of ways that you are going to talk about things in the course of your posts over a month, let alone a year. And there are going to be other ways to bring in that blog content. So think about ways to reuse that blog post. I'm all for repurposing and reusing. Great for plastics, great for blog posts. So that's going to be an important part of your strategy. You also want to think about how are you presenting the blog post. CoSchedule has a really cool headline analyzer that I think can be a really big tool as you're thinking about how can I create a headline that will make people want to read this. And that's another way that you can build your engagement. So let's see. And talking about engagement means a lot of things. It's not just comments on your blog, which are great to have, but it's people sharing what you've written on social media. It's responding to you on social media. So it's likely that you may be thinking of engagement in narrow terms. Think of all the ways people have engaged with your content and will engage in the future, and consider that in the mix. Really try to open up a conversation. So ask questions at the end of your blog post. This is what I have to say. What's your experience with this? Another great tool for engagement is thinking about what's included in your content. It's not just writing. So what are the images you're using? Are you putting in videos? It can be videos of you, videos of a related topic. People respond and consume content effectively in different ways. So if you can present different ways to them to engage with your content, that will be to everyone's benefit. So I hope that is helpful. Nikki asked the question, how do I appeal to people's emotions in posts, and how much shock is too much? So there was some great conversation that took place around this question in the comments already. Devin gave some great feedback. And that really depends on your business and what you're trying to accomplish with your post. Yes, controversy sells. It always sells. If you can come up with a controversial headline, that's fantastic. But think about who your audience is. If they're the kind of people who aren't going to easily be scared away, then you can have a lot of shock value. And you can, not everyone is going to like what you do, and that is completely okay. So once you know that and accept that, think about what am I trying to accomplish and will this connect to my target audience. I wouldn't say do it all the time, do it for cheap tricks. And certainly not saying that that's what you're doing, but if you really have something to say, go for it. Even though I've blogged for a number of years, I tend to veer away from personal topics, but when I've gone there, I go all the way in. And one of the tips I got early on, writing about, for instance, things like race, just put it out there. Don't read the comments. That is maybe a little different with a personal blog, but just be comfortable what you have to say. And as long as you are, go for it. Not everyone's going to like what you have to say. And if what you're saying is true to who you are, then those people who are turned off aren't your audience anyway. And we have the last question from Lozelle, the last question that was submitted in advance, at least from Lozelle, which is a mailing list necessary? How often should one send posts, blogs, newsletters out? So that's a fantastic question. All of these have been such great questions. I'm not an email marketing expert, so I will just put that out there, but I do have some thoughts on the question. So in terms of frequency, I again say, what is your capacity? Also think about what is the purpose of your newsletter. Do you want to, many people use it as a vehicle primarily to share blog posts. Is it to share new business endeavors, what is the purpose? A lot of that will dictate how frequently you do it. Think about the people who have engaged already by showing that they want to be on your mailing list. That's such a great and important commodity. So I would say, yes, the mailing list is important to have. I saw a great analogy yesterday that said a mailing list is it's the difference between renting and owning. When you are on social media and have engagement, it's great, but these people can come and go. On your mailing list, these are people who have said, I like what you're doing, you're committed, you know who they are, you have their email addresses. So there's a really special relationship there that you want to be careful and intentional how you capitalize, but it's a really great, something that you should capitalize on. There's no magic number. Think about what your goals are. And I would say that's the most important. So let's see, any other questions? Let me scroll down to see. And hi, Nikki. I missed you. I missed saying hi to you. Thank you so much for joining. If there are no other questions, well, thank you too. I did not honestly expect anyone to join me live, so thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure. I love talking about this. If you have questions about anything I've said here or something that I didn't cover, this is an open invitation. Send me a PM. I love talking about this. We'll schedule some time to go over your specific questions, your concerns. I'm happy to brainstorm with you what some good ideas might be for your business. And again, thank you for your graciousness in kind of accommodating the need to reschedule. And happy Friday. We made it. Yay. Not like we get time off because we're entrepreneurs, but there's just a excitement in Fridays. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. And I will see you all soon. Bye.